What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another team news. I'm joined by Neale, as always, for Gameweek 25. How are you doing, Neale?
I'm very good, Andy. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good. It looks like a busy one for you. I've seen lots of, obviously, injuries, team news, updates, but also transfers, so we might touch on them as well. As there's quite a bit to get through, I just say we just get straight into it. Nothing, no messing.
Yeah, crack on.
All right, let's start with Leicester, because I saw a tweet about Vardy, which worried me, and then I saw a follow up from you saying maybe it's a bit of context needed from the way the question was asked. It's about Vardy.
That's right. Yeah. So this was yesterday. This was Brendan Rodgers' press conference. So Vardy made a very swift return from that glute injury against Aston Villa in the AFL Cup. He came on as a substitute then, and he was asked yesterday in his press conference if there's been any. Rodgers said he was fine, no side effects. Vardy's trained on Thursday and was good. And then, this is what I'm assuming you're referring to, is a question was asked by a reporter if Vardy could potentially start. Now, Rodgers replies with potentially yes, but he was basically just repeating the word back to the reporter. So he may have been a little bit coy there with his selection. He's never going to give his team away in a press conference, but I suspect that that means Vardy's okay. I mean, he's going to be in the squad regardless. And the fact that he got, was it about 25 minutes in midweek, bodes well. He's trained since. And I hope that because I've kept him, I hope he's going to be fine for the lunchtime kickoff. And who knows, we might get an early bit of team news before that, if we're lucky to confirm that. But Roger's saying that he's fine, no side effects. So I hope he's good to go.
Good stuff. Nothing else from Leicester?
Not really. Wes Morgan's still out. It's just the sort of peripheral squad players who
cool.
nobody will be interested in.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Definitely waiting on team news. I'm very eager to make a second transfer this week, and Jamie Vardy is definitely up for the chop. It doesn't blank in game week 28 now, so he's kind of made it a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
But we'll wait and see. Hopefully get some early team news. What about Liverpool? Obviously, Mane, big casualty in game week 24, as I well know. Who did you triple captain him?
No, I went with Salah, which was it was. I'm not going to pretend that was any kind of skillful move. It was a bit of a virtual coin toss, and I just went with a guy who, it was my first instinct. Having watched him past couple of weeks, but I'm not going to pretend that there was anything other than luck involved there, because you can't vouch for someone getting injured after 30 minutes of the first double game week fixture. So yeah, I was one of the lucky few who went with Salah.
And how are Liverpool looking this week?
Well, we've got update on pretty much every injured player apart from Mane, which is a bit strange because I know the whole world doesn't revolve around FPL, but you'd think one of the journalists would have asked about Mane, given that he's one of their best players. So yeah, we heard about Shaqiri and Milner, who are not ready for this game, but shortly will be after the winter break. Lallana's trained normally, and Origi came off with cramp in midweek. He was the one who replaced Mane in the starting 11 against West Ham. So yeah, we didn't get any update whatsoever on Mane, which was very odd. You'd think one person would have asked. Hopefully we'll get something from Liverpool later on, be it an injury bulletin, that club something to pull out, or maybe quotes embargoed. I know it's not often that happens with Liverpool. We don't often get embargoed quotes from Liverpool, so I'm not holding my breath, but we're going off what we knew previously. So I think it was on Tuesday when Klopp gave his press conference ahead of the West Ham game. He said that Mane would probably not be ready for Southampton. So we're operating under the assumption that nothing's changed since then and that he's going to miss out. But he was likely to return, I think, after the winter break, so in game week 26. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for anything that comes out later in the day and let you know via the site. But heard nothing else since that final double game week 24 fixture.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually took probably as actually definitely, even though he didn't say definitely going to be at Southampton.
Yeah.
It seems like I've actually made the transfer already, but if I hear that he's in, that will be a bit frustrating. But yeah, I've actually done Mane to Salah. It just seemed like a no-brainer. So I did that last night to beat the price rise. How are we looking for Man City? I hear a certain winger might be back in training there.
He is, yeah, Leroy Sané. Pep didn't really give him ready for a playing return, but he said he started to train fully with the squad. He said that Sané is moving surprisingly well, so that sounds positive. Now he's been out since what was it? All the Champions, wasn't it? The Community Shield. So, that's what 5 months around about then. So, I suspect he won't quite be ready this weekend. And then City have got the it's not a winter break, is it? They've got a fixture early on in February. So they've got the Gameweek 26 fixture is on the 9th of Feb, and then they've got a 2-week break. So I wonder if it'll be at the back end of that when Sonny's ready for a playing return. But he's back in training anyway, so it won't be long before he's ready, and which will add to the plethora of options he's got in the wide areas. We've seen obviously Mahrez, Bernardo, and Sterling sharing game time. Jesus has played out there once as well, and then with Sarnia back as well, that's going to make my job even more difficult. And for the owners of Mahrez and Sterling, there's that extra bit of rotation risk that you probably didn't need coming from maybe game week 27 onwards.
Yeah, I think once Sané is back, just give up trying to predict that front line. It'll be completely impossible unless there's major injuries. All right, let's move on to a team which I can't believe I didn't start with. After all, I'm in control of kind of what image and stuff we put up. So let's talk about Man United. Don't know if there's much more injury news, but definitely brand new signing for Man United.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes signed in midweek, and Solskjaer said he's fit enough to play and that he's going to be involved against Wolves. He didn't elaborate on how much he would be involved. He was stressing the fact that he's had a hectic couple of days. He signed for a new club. He mentioned his daughter's third birthday party, which I think was a bit odd. I don't know why that would affect you.
To be honest, like kids' birthday parties,
yeah, you would know.
Stressful.
Yeah. True enough. He's going to feature, and I suspect because Matic is suspended for this game, he was sent off for do bookable offences in midweek. That opens up a spot in midfield. They could, work around it by playing Pereira further well back, which hasn't really convinced previously. But I suspect this could be Fernandes' debut straight off the bat against Wolves because they are without Pogba still and without McTominay as well. So they've got a bit of a void there in the middle of the park alongside Fred. As for the other injury news, nothing new. As I said, Pogba, McTominay, I think they're going to be the other side of the winter break. Same with Tuanzebe, and I think Rojo has left the club on loan this week as well. So, I think that pretty much brings you up to speed. Rashford, of course, is the other one. He's a longer term problem, so he won't be involved in Game Week 25 either.
Yeah, I think with Fernandes, I'm still not... I mean, there is a good chance he starts because the rest of our options are rubbish, even the ones that are fit. But I think from next week onwards, he's going to be week in, week out. He just has to. At this point, it's kind of like almost resting on his shoulders to get top four for us. So, don't know about game time this week, but from next week onwards, definitely. So, but could be a cheeky punt this week. Let's move to London and Chelsea. Striker update there, I believe.
Yep, Tammy Abraham, another guy I'm clinging on to, but he's definitely on the chopping block as well. Now he has trained today, and he's going to be assessed before the last game, which again is the early kickoff. So we hopefully may get some early team news from that. But yeah, Lampard said that he's trained and felt okay. They're going to assess if there's any reaction. So this is to his ankle. Lampard said there's still a lot of pain, and he's going to have a think about it overnight and then test Abraham in the morning before the lunchtime kickoff. So, positive, medium term and longer term that he's made such a swift recovery and that he's even in contention for this match. But still in some doubt as to whether he's going to be able to play against Leicester. Other Chelsea team news: Lampard said there's nothing new. So Pulisic, I'm guessing, still out. And Loftus-Cheek is still making his long way back from a serious injury as well. So I don't think either of those two will be involved either.
So do you own Abraham, do you?
I do, yeah. He's someone I've kind of wanted to get rid of for a while, but there's always something else that crops up. He's one of those players who just stays in your team while you're fighting other fires elsewhere. And he's done a bit now and again.
So what are you doing this week with him then?
Well, it depends on what I do with Mane, because I've got Mane as well. It depends on who I bring for Mane, whether I can upgrade Abraham to, premium striker, or whether I just downgrade to, one of the sort of 6 million brackets, like a Deeney or a Calvert-Lewin. I think the problem is, you were discussing this off air, no one's got very good fixtures at the moment. There's very few teams who've got like a decent string of games that are, green on the season ticket, haven't got a blank in 28 and things like that. So it'll be a late night job tonight, I think, sat down on the couch and trying to plan through my moves. So I've got 2 free transfers anyway, so I'll be possibly using one of them on Abraham.
Nice and flexible 2-3 trans. I think the one thing about Abraham is it does seem like Lampard is almost a little bit loath to actually play one of his other strikers, even though I think they're not actually that bad, and Giroud doesn't look like he's going to be leaving either. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there. All right, this isn't necessarily injury news that everyone's looking for, but lineup news. Sheffield United. Lots of worries, more so this week now about Lundstrom than there maybe was before, and obviously we have seen him get kind of rotated or rested or dropped, whatever it was in the last one. What are you thinking for this week?
Yeah. I mean, even if he does get his place back, I wonder how long he'll be a first choice, because he lost his place in Gameweek 24 to Mo Besic. We discussed this previously on I think the Gameweek 23 video about how his form had dipped a little bit, his energy levels had dropped, and he was getting substituted in the second half. And the benching did happen in Gameweek 24. Whether that was horses for courses, Besic is more like a defence-minded, tough tackling midfielder, and Wilder might have wanted him in because they were away at Manchester City. Now this is Crystal Palace, who are, it's a more winnable fixture. Crystal Palace are known for the sort of defence-first approach. So would Besic be overkill in the middle of the park? So there's that hope to cling on to if you're a Lundstrom owner. However, Sheffield United, to complicate matters, have made a club record transfer purchase in the last 24 hours. I think it's Sander Berger or something like that is his name. Norwegian guy, came from Genk. I think he's not the same type of player. He's I saw a good thread from FPL Belgium. I'll give him a shout out. And I think he's more of a physical specimen than a sort of attack-minded asset. So it would be interesting limit of the team. It might give him a little bit of time to bed in. But they've got like the likes of Norwood and Fleck in there who have been immovables really ever since the championship season. So yeah, I'm very worried as a Lundstrom owner from Game Week 1. And he's yet another player who I'll be thinking about ditching. I think probably based on this weekend's team selection. Because there are more secure options out there now. I think obviously Ender Stevens, for example, I think is pretty nailed on that left wing, and has been posting some decent creativity stats. And there's the cheaper options as well, like John Egan at the centre back, who are again more nailed than Lundstrom. So yeah, I'm very worried, and he's not the nailed pick he was even last month and before that as well. So yeah, do not be surprised if he's on the bench this weekend and beyond.
Are you playing him this week, or are you just going to put him on the bench?
I'll play him from the start, and then probably address any issues after that. So because it's not something you need going into blank game weeks, of which Sheffield United have one as well, coming up in 28. And when Champions League's kicking in soon, and Europa League, and there'll be rotation around that from the bigger teams, and you want people like your Sheffield United defenders to be playing every week. And I can't really hack the rotation if Lundstrom's going to be affected, to be honest.
Yeah, I got him as well, but I got him for a lot more money than everyone else. I paid like 5.1. This is it now. If he doesn't start against Crystal Palace, he is gone. I'm not even going to give him a chance after that. I think I can maybe finally get a cheaper defender in like Lascelles or someone like that who Newcastle got pretty good fixtures. But yeah, I think last chance saloon for him. If he plays, then we'll see how much he gets rotated going forward. But if he doesn't, absolutely has to go. And one replacement we could go for in defence, moving on, nice segue to Wolves. I believe one of their main centre-back is back.
Yeah, Willy Body, who hasn't played since, when was it? September, October time. I was going to say they've done all right without him, but they haven't kept many clean sheets within that time. I think it's one in the last 16 game weeks, which is pretty awful, really. So yeah, he's back. He was involved. I think was he on the bench against Liverpool? But Santa was asked today that whether they're ready for a start, and he said yes. So this was Bolly and Yotta as well, of course. So we could see him back. I know Ryan Bennett's just been packed off on loan to Leicester, so they're one centre-half down in that regard. So yeah, it's been pretty much uniformly for the past couple of months. Seiss, then Bunker, and Cody at the back three. So Bolly's got to force his way into that centre-half role. But he is, before his injury, was the bedrock in defence. So I don't think it's too long before we see him back in the starting 11. And as you say, he's 4.7 million, which is a very attractive price.
Yeah, decent enough goal for it too. I mean, I'm
Mm.
sure. Well, I'm mostly sure, unless there's anything to say otherwise, he's going to come back in as soon as he's fit again. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. And they've not this week maybe, and next week's Leicester at home, I think. But after that,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fixtures are
good
pretty
fixtures.
good as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good
Mm.
time for him to come back. Decent price, especially if you're looking to maybe offload Lundstrom. What about Spurs? I see they're offloading players. Don't think many players have come in yet, apart from is it Bergwijn or someone like that, the winger.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be in the squad this weekend as well. Mourinho's confirmed today. To what extent we don't know because he's just arrived. I suspect maybe bench duty at first. Yeah, Danny Rose, as you said, he's gone to Newcastle on loan for the rest of the season. So they're down a defender there. As for the injuries, nothing really to report. It's just the longer term ones. Kane, Sissoko there up till April. Ben Davies, I think's closer to a return, but he's still unavailable for this game. So again, might see him on the other side of the winter break.
Cool. Okay, we'll stick to London. How are Arsenal looking? Bamiyang back from suspension, I believe. Any other updates there?
Yeah, Aubameyang and David Luiz as well, who was sent off in Gameweek 24, but very handily. The FA Cup came along and he served his one-match ban there, so he's now available, as is Aubameyang. Still got absentees in the form of the longer-term ones like Chambers, Tierney, and Reece Nelson as well. We could see Kolasinac back sooner than expected because he was, like Nelson, going to be on the other side of the winter break, but he's made a swifter than expected recovery. So he is being, I think, assessed was the words of the Arsenal medical bulletin earlier today, along with Mustafi ahead of the trip to Burnley. So I'll watch Arteta's press conference in its entirety to see if there's any more clues in that. But he's closer to a return anyway than we thought. So he could be ready to oust Bukayo Saka from that left back spot. But yeah, like I say, I'll watch Arteta's press conference after this and see if there's anything more on that. As to whether he will feature in Game Week 25.
And I believe that I don't think you mentioned it. They're looking to. Well, there's lots of rumours they're looking to bring in Cedric from Southampton as well, which would be interesting if he comes in. I guess he might not get straight in, but they've got a lot of problems at fullback with injury-prone players. So we'll have to wait and see if he comes in. Maybe he'll go straight in. We don't know yet.
He's signed actually already, so he's on loan now. I think for the rest of the season. He's got an injury at the moment, Cedric. So. I think originally he was ruled out for 3 weeks last week. I've seen a quote from Arteta today saying he probably wouldn't be involved at Burnley. That's sort of a 25% job on FPL, I would suspect. And Bellerin's come back in recently and done all right at right back. They got Maitland-Niles there as well, so you've suddenly got a lot of competition there in the right back slot. With Bellerin probably holding the shirt at the moment, and then Cedric available again after the winter break.
Cool, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I didn't realise he'd actually signed yet, but there we go. I'm finding out news for myself on this stream. So let's go to his club then, Southampton. Any worries there at all?
Yeah, this was held yesterday before Cedric had moved, so we've had Cedric covered twice in press conferences this weekend. So yeah, Hasenhüttl had said that he was an injured out. The only other one really is Stuart Armstrong. Has been playing very well recently. He's got a hip problem. He's going to miss the Liverpool game and he's going to be out for around 2 to 3 weeks. So again, I've used the word winter break a lot today, but that comes at a handy time. I think he'll be ready after that. As for the others, Hasenhüttl says they've got a clean bill of health. So Vestergaard's back from concussion. Valerie's back from a virus. The one other note, I think, from that is that they've signed Kyle Walker-Peters on loan from Spurs, obviously with a view to replacing Cedric, but he's not going to play this weekend. Hasenhüttl says it's too soon to throw him in. He needs to get up to speed as to how they play and what's expected of him tactically. So probably a game week 26 onwards job, I think, for Walker-Peters.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he does. Southampton are definitely one team with good fixtures. And he did once, Kyle Walker-Peters, get a hat-trick of assists in a game once. So worth keeping an eye on. Whether he can do that for Southampton, I don't know. But we'll wait and see. Do you want to just, I think we've covered the main stuff. Do you want to rattle through the rest and I'll just bring up the teams as we go?
We'll do, yeah. We'll start with Aston Villa. Nothing really from the AFL Cup in midweek. Dean Smith said it's just the same picture, really. It's just the long-term absentees. McGinn, Steer, Heaton and Wesley. Pepe Reina's fine. To be honest, I didn't realise there was a problem, but he's fine. So that's Aston Villa up to speed, I think. Bournemouth. Howe saying this morning that the injury situation is pretty similar to what it was last week. So Stacey, King, and Stanislas, they're edging closer to fitness. Those were Howe's words. Now that sometimes means that they're ready to return in Howe speak. But if they don't quite make it this weekend, then again, game week 26, I think. No updates on Philip Billen or Lloyd Kelly, who'd missed the FA Cup tie against Arsenal. And Howe did mention something about Rico and Lerma. Rico was obviously the one that most people will be concerned about. I know his ownership's kind of diminished a bit recently, but many will still have him. And, this isn't a bad fixture on paper. Howe said that he's been playing with underlying problems, so shin splints and a knee injury. But he was just rested against Arsenal on Monday so as not to exacerbate the problem and make it a long-term problem. So hopefully he's going to be ready to feature again against Villa for those who are thinking about playing him. Elsewhere, Brighton, I think just, Duffy's joined Burnham Izquierdo and being unavailable for this one. He had been sort of peripheral centre-half anyway. I think otherwise they're okay. Burnley, I've not actually seen that in full yet, but I've caught the highlights. And Barnes and Goodmanson are going to feature against Arsenal. And I think that might be it from Burnley, but I'll keep you posted on the site if there's anything more. Palace have got a lot of players back, actually. Cenk Tosun's got to be out. He's got a hamstring problem. So not only will he miss this, he's ineligible to face Everton in game week 26, so he'll not be back till full back end of February. Mamadou Sakho and Jeffrey Stupp are the only absentees, so that means they've got Benteke, Townsend, Van Aanholt back from injury, and Milivojevic is back from suspension as well. So all of a sudden they've got all these players back. Joel Ward came back, I think, in game week 24, was on the bench and came on for Kelly. I know Kelly's still widely owned by a lot of fantasy managers. He's in my squad. He's a sort of a bench fodder at the moment. But these returns to fitness are coming at the wrong time because Palace's fixtures are very, very good in the next half dozen game weeks. And all of a sudden, Kelly's got this challenge for his position at right back from Ward, who's a more natural fit in that position and who was first choice before he got injured. So given that Kelly was substituted after about 60 minutes against Southampton after struggling against Redmond, I wouldn't hold my breath.
I'm pretty worried about that. I'm already. He's on my bench this week anyway, but I'm pretty certain that's going to be a disaster going on from this week. But I guess we can cross our fingers and hope for the best on that one.
Yeah, I've got Dwight there as my representation from Palace's defence, but I would love to have him as an option, especially with Lundstrom start not certain. So another one who I don't need rotation risk over, but he faces a threat. Right back, Everton, good news on that front as well. Richarlison, Sigurdsson and Alex Iwobi are all past fit by Ancelotti yesterday when he's speaking to Everton TV. And he's given a press conference today as well to the rest of us, saying that Gomez is even back in training as well. So that's a remarkable recovery because it was a horrible injury against Spurs back in, was it November time? So they're hoping to have him ready for the Arsenal game in game week 27. I think it is. So he won't be ready just yet, but that's a really quick recovery. That Gabaman's the other one who's had a setback. He's gone the opposite way. He might be out for the rest of the season, but I need further surgery. Newcastle, I don't think we've covered yet. Lots still on the injury list. The likes of Willems and Dummett are out for the season, or at least the majority of it. Gale, Mutu and Carroll, who are three strike options, they're going to be back the other side of the winter break. Kraft's out for longer. I think Manquillo as well. I've just seen that Key's been released by us, so by mutual consent. Lejeune had a groin problem, but he's been pictured back in training. And Shelby's the latest addition to the injury list, so he's got a hamstring problem. That's going to rule him out for another 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll probably see some league debutants, I think. Bentaleb, I could see getting a start. Danny Rose, Bruce said would be involved, although he didn't stress to what extent because he only arrived yesterday. And they've got Matt Ritchie as an option, a left wing back. And the other guy is Lazaro as well, who's right-sided midfielder / winger / wing back. So he gives them options either in place of Yedlin at wing back or further up the flank as a sort of impact substitute for Almiron. So They're getting a few bodies back, but still a lengthy injury list. Norwich again quite positive, really. Cantwell, who's their most owned asset by some distance, he's been past fit, along with Buendia and Amadou. Godfrey's still suspended and Klose is still out. But yeah, so good news in that all three of those have been past fit. But there was a slight caveat because Daniel Farke was asked about whether all three would play. This is Cantwell, Buendia and Amadou. And he said, I won't play all three of them because it's an important game and you can't start a game at this level with three players who were injured recently. Now, I suspect maybe he was talking about Amadou because Amadou hasn't been a first choice pick anyway. And I doubt he'd come straight back into the team. So, yeah, slight concern if you were thinking about playing Cantwell or Buendia, who's been posting some absolutely incredible creativity statistics. Because I think he's top for chances created over the last 6 or 7 game weeks, even more than De Bruyne and Alexander-Arnold. So, yeah, good news in that they're past fit, but that comment, I think, is a slight concern. So, yeah, Fox suggesting that a game against Newcastle, an away game, will be too intense to start these three returning players all together. So you've got to hope that he was just referring to Amadou there rather than Buendia and Cantwell. Sheffield United, Southampton we've covered, and Spurs, West Ham. Nothing really new to report, really. Fabianski came back in the second game week 24 fixture. Antonio missed that game with a slight hamstring problem. I suspect he was getting saved for this game because it's the more winnable game. It's a 6-point against Brighton. And as for the rest, Moyes said today that Felipe Anderson is back in the grass, but not quite ready to recover. So the likes of him, Wilshere, Yarmolenko, I think are going to still remain out. And I think that might be it, apart from Watford, who Nigel Pearson gave his press conference yesterday. Now, Ismaila Sarr, who's still in a few squads, I know David still got him. He's still going to be out for this. He's making progress, according to Pearson, but he's not ready to return against Everton. So him, Firmino, Prodel and Janmat are unavailable. Cleverly's back in training, but not much fit. But they have got Danny Welbeck back and Will Hughes as well. So both of those players are going to be involved in the squad against Everton. Again, to what extent, we don't know. I suspect with Welbeck being out for so long, it'll be a substitute's role. But yeah, I think that brings us up to speed, Andy, with everything. I think there's one other thing to say on Man City as well. I was talking about Sane there, but I forgot to mention Laporte, who Guardiola had said was suffering from fatigue and not an injury. And he wasn't sure whether he'd be ready to feature against Spurs. I don't think there was any update on Mendy and Firmino. I'll double check that because, I haven't seen everything from Guardiola today. They were both missing from the League Cup match against Man United. So I'll keep my eyes peeled, perhaps for the embargoed section later tonight on whether those two are going to be fit. But yeah, as I said, I think that brings us up to speed.
Cool, yeah. Hopefully there's some news on Liverpool, maybe. Although at this point, I'm hoping Manny is out, but nothing against him. I've transferred him out, so it'd be annoying if he starts. But we'll see. Obviously, thanks very much, Neale, as always. I would say for anyone that's kind of listening or watching later, for all the up-to-date news, obviously check the Fantasy Football Scout Twitter accounts. That's FF Scout, and obviously the site as well for the team news section, which Neale will be busy updating probably for most of the evening, I would say. Otherwise, actually, one question for you before you go. Who are you captaining this week? Is it Salah, end of?
Yeah, Salah, end of. This was toying with a decision last week for so many days, but just stuck on one as soon as the deadline passed, and I've seen nothing since to make me change my mind. Because as I said in the captain poll article, I think 6 of the top 7 teams are playing each other this weekend. Liverpool being the exception, and I know Southampton's a trickier fixture than it used to be, but Liverpool's just beaten any team left, right, and centre of late, and Salah's home record's amazing, and he's looking back to his usual self, if a little wasteful, like he always has been. But Salah armbands, and nothing anyone can say is going to make me change my mind, I think.
I'm not going to. That's the reason I did manage Salah, because I want a Liverpool player captain, so it's easy, job done.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe overthink it next week, but not this week. All right, we'll leave it there. As I said, thanks very much, Neale, and everyone that's watching. And I'll be back tomorrow with David for Breakfast Club at 11:15. Otherwise, me and Neale will be back this time next Friday. We'll see you then. Thanks again, Neale. Catch you later.
Cheers, Andy. Bye bye.